Now the next thing we'll need to do is bring out the servos. And what I've done a little different than some of my other builds is I actually went ahead and opened up the majority of the servos except for the throttle. And I went ahead and put all the grommets and the collars in place. I also did the servo horns. You'll see right now. I'll go ahead and bring these out so you can see. Put this off to the side. Alright. I'll bring out the servos here. Again, all I've done is put the grommets in just so speed the build process when we're viewing it. And I also eliminated some of the screw bags and so forth that we need. Alright, first order of business is talking about the servos, or the type of servos. We have 3 Cyclic servos, the DS615s. These are newest servos from the line, as well as the 655 for the tail. Alright, these 4 servos are included with your kit. It also includes 3 aluminum horns, 3 of them. And what I've done is, again, I've went ahead and installed the balls onto the actual aluminum control horns. So we have that done. That's complete. And I've made up a tail and also a throttle servo horn out of the plastic horns provided with the servos. So those have been provided with the kit. And as far as centering, like I was telling you, what we can do once we install the actual servos in the frame, we can center them up and then place the horn and know that they're center. So that's what we'll be utilizing the Align. This is the RCE MT8. This is a multi-function tester, but we'll use this for centering of servos. And you basically put this tester at about 15-20, and you're going to be pretty darn close regardless of what radio system you're running as far as the center point. So this is a great little tool to have when we're not utilizing the radio for the process. Alright, and another thing that's inside of the electronic device, a box, is the RCE B6T. This is our regulator as well as our remote glow igniter. So this has a multi-function here. We have the glow igniter and regulator for our radio system. So that's included again with our kit on the Super Combo kit, as we can see it here. Alright, so we have all that done. We have our 3 servo horns, balls attached. We also have basically 2 plastic horns, one for throttle, one for the rudder. And why don't I go ahead and pull out the, one of the, or should I say the throttle servo here. I'll go ahead and open this up. And here's the reason, why I basically eliminated this process from what we're doing. And basically, what you're going to need to do with each of your servos is you'll dump out the contents of the bag here. There'll be a screw for the horn, or to retain the horn. One screw for that, and then you have these plastic grommets there. And we'll go ahead and stick this on. This is the servo I'm adding another 615 to the mix. This particular servo is not included with your kit, so you'll need to get one additional throttle servo. And depending on what you're doing, some people like to use different types of servos, some really high-speed servos on their throttle. So there again, one of the reasons why you have just 4 servos. And so anyhow, we have the 4 servos that are included, the 3 615s as well as the 655. But again, I'm adding now the DS615, that way when we're doing our build we have the total process. So that's what I did. Rather than do it 4 times in front of you, we just did it once, and I think once is good enough. Alright, right now we're going to be working on the remainder of the frame assembly, and right now we're going to do the lower frame we're going to put in the carbon base plate and also install the landing gear. So that's where we're at right now. We'll go ahead and move some of this servos aside there. We'll take off the screws as they come from the factory. They're already pre-applied there. Take these off. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and install this lower base plate now. Small dab of Loctite there. Okay. Alright, so we have the lower frame there, or should I say the carbon support. Now we're going to pull out the landing gear. This is the 700N G2 bag. Go ahead and cut this open. Got our skids here. Here. Alright. Looks like we need to be at the inner hole. Inside this bag there's rubber stoppers for your skids. You can use those if you choose to. It also comes with the ends for the actual supports, but the other thing it comes with is washers for bolts that go through the strut. So I'm going to put those washers on here, again utilizing the inner hole. Put a little dab of Loctite here, and we'll go ahead and get that started. Again, if you're having any alignment issues, simply loosen the screw on the base of your motor to ensure that the lower tray meets up with the hole locations, and that way you don't inadvertently damage your screws. So you can leave that loose. Again, we'll utilize the washers here. Again, we're utilizing the inner hole for the back of the frame. And I'll put a dab of Loctite again. Okay. Whoops. I'll get that in a second. Let's get this one mounted up first. Okay. Before I go all the way with that, I'll make sure I have the correct location there. Alright. Looking like a helicopter now. All we need now is a boom and a couple of servos and almost ready to go out flying. Again, this helicopter builds relatively fast. If you're utilizing any sort of power tools and so forth, you can increase your build speed, but again, be careful when doing so because of the fact that you can over torque your screws and strip out your screws, which you don't want to do. Alright, let's get the struts out here. I'm going to make sure my align lug is facing outward. I want to see that logo. There you go. Looks nice. There, can you see that? And then we'll do the other side here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some epoxy, or excuse me, rather Loctite to the table here, and we're going to glue in those end pieces here to go on the actual skids. So we'll glue those in. Let me get some Loctite. Alright, I've grabbed my bottle of CA, and so I'm going to go ahead and glue on these end pieces here. You can use thin, thick, whatever you like. In this case, I'm going to be using some thick CA. Let's go ahead and insert that. Just wipe the excess off. It'll come off your hands with soaking in the water for a while. Press that in like that on the towel. Wipe it on the towel, not on your table. Alright, do it again for the front. Small dab. Okay. Let's see. You like that. And one more. Then we'll put the lid back on that CA there. Okay. Wipe that off. Alright, let's close up our CA. Make sure that doesn't get on anything. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to get the grub screws. So we'll get the grub screws for the landing gear here. And go ahead and install these. There's four small grub screws. Drive those into the strut here just to put a slight dimple. Keep them from twisting. Again, don't go too tight because you can strip the actual strut. It's not a big deal. You can easily fix that situation. Dab of CA and it'll tighten that up, the thread, if you were to over tighten it. Okay. There we go. Alright, so there you have it. You have your frame assembled, and we have our servos. So let's get our servos ready. Need my Cyclic servos. My tail servo, let's get all that stuff over here. These are the screws that come with the kit. These are the self-tapping screws here. Alright, we're getting ready to mount the servos right now. And what you're going to need to have is the plates, these carbon plates that go actually on top of the servos. And that's part of bag 700N Z8. Okay, these basic carbon plates will be used to secure your servos. So we'll go ahead and pull these out. Again, you have these great self-tapping screws that are hex. They're hex screws, which is really nice. So you can use your hex wrenches, which makes life a lot simpler during the assembly process. Again, I've went ahead and already put the inserts in on the servos, and I've also put the grommets in place. So that should speed the process of our build here, just for watching. But at home you can do that the night before your build. You know, just go ahead and take care of some of that stuff and get it already set up so it's easier for you. And I'm going to go ahead and mount these in the frame here. Again, we're using the 615s for our Cyclic. These mount in the frame really nice. Again, there's no other screws or washers or anything, bolts, nuts that are used to retain the servos, just these self-tapping screws. And this is one of the design features of the Trex 700N. It's all integrated into the frame design here, so I have that. And then we'll go ahead and mount the other servo on this side. Again, if you have power tools, be very careful when utilizing them on these injection molded retainer system here. Just because if you over torque it, you can't strip it out, and that's no fun. But you know, you can get more of the inserts as far as to fix the situation. But again, just using your wrench, tightening it, you can feel it. It's probably the better way to go. Alright, on this portion here, which goes on the top for your elevator servo, you're going to want to grab your servo. The part that says align faces up and faces inside of the actual tray here. We're going to go ahead and mount the servo. Remove the screws here first. Pull in my wires. I'm going to go ahead and route them forward right now. There's a hole in the front of the radio tray. Go ahead and utilize that to pull your wires forward. Them. Alright, so I pulled my wires through. I put the wire down underneath the servo, just so you know. So I'm pulling it through that way. These longer screws on the servo. The longer screws go to the servo itself here. The shorter screws will go to the frame. Again, line facing up. Servo is facing towards the rear of the helicopter, the spline side. We'll go ahead and insert these here. Actually, let me put a little dab of Loctite here. Go ahead and get it started. Don't drive it all the way down because you want to get all your screws mounted up before, you know, really socking them down tight. Okay. There we go. Alright, so This particular servo, being that it's going in the frame, it's going in horizontal. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pull out the multifunction tester here. Put a battery, pop in a servo here, and sure I have this plugged in. What I want to do here is set up the servo center without utilizing my radio. So I'm using the multifunction tester, plug this in, and I'm setting the output at 1520. This should get me really close to center with most radio systems. And then I can install my horn prior to installing in the model, and go ahead and find the one that best gives me a 90 setup, and that one gives me a nice 90 setup there. So I'm going to go ahead and install the servo here, servo horn. Put a little Loctite here. It's just nice to be able to do this without the radio itself present. We can go ahead and install this. The horn's 90. Again, this is going on horizontal inside of the frame there, so that's why I'm able to go ahead and take care of this right now. Go ahead and tighten that up, get that on there. That's 90. Pop that off. Now we're going to go ahead and install this in the frame. So let's move this aside for the moment. We have these shorter machine screws here that we'll use. I'm going to go ahead and turn this towards me real quick. I want to ensure that the ball A is facing the correct direction. So A is facing, alright, A is facing this way. Ball link's going to go in. And again, being that it's loose, I know which way it's going. Also, my wiring, I'm going to pull that through. So I have a nice clean wire install here. Go ahead and grab that wire. Just bring it all down through the bottom of the servos here. Just bring it all down through the bottom and pull it out through that hole in your frame. And then before I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and pop these ball links on to make life easier. Go ahead and pop these on ahead of time. And make sure, let me see. Sure, I have this. This one needs to be adjusted. So we'll adjust this. Okay. Again, checking to make sure that A is facing the correct direction. If it's very tough to put it on, most likely you've got it reversed. So make sure you check that out, and then it should pop on rather easily when the A is facing, again, away from the top of the ball. Alright, so we're going to drop this down into the frame. Makes that a lot easier to get in there and work on that. And then we're going to go ahead and get these 4 short machine screws, and we'll install that to the frame here. Get that on here. Nice. Alright. Now we have a majority of our electronic components on the helicopter, short of the gyro and some of the other things like the regulator. And we've got 2 more servos here, and the major electronics are on board, ready to go. We got our engine installed, tank plumbed, rotor head. We got our new helical gear assembly, new gear ratio. And next after this will just be the tail assembly. But before we get to the tail assembly, what I'll do is kind of declutter the area so that way it's nice and clean, see everything. Alright, so let's go ahead and put the horns on these 2 servos here. We'll go ahead and hook these in to our multifunction tester. I got about 1520 again. Let's see. Alright. Let's see. Let's go ahead and plug this one in. I know that's for elevator. This one's for aileron. Let's see. I mean, look at that. Not quite 90. So what I'll do is I'll try the other horn that we have. One of the 3 that are included for this process. And take a look at that. Let's see. So I can get that as close to 90 as possible. Again, 1520. Alright, let's turn that link. Okay, this is going to be the one that works. Again, due to the fact that I have the balls already attached to the servo horn, I'm able to, go through this process pretty quickly. So I went ahead and did that prior to the build. I actually installed these Loctite to them. And right now what I did is just install the servo horn to the servo. I'm using that multifunction tester at 1520. Again, we're using that as our center point. And I'm put a little Loctite on here, and I'm going to install the screw as provided with your kit. We're going to go ahead and put that on. It's a machine screw, some Loctite on there. And these links are at 75 from the inner point on the ball link themselves. So it's a 75 millimeters from here to here. So between those 2 points, 75 millimeters. Okay. All right. Hopefully this one's dead 90 here. On the other side, we get that as close as possible since the other ones we found. And if it doesn't work one way, try flipping it over. And that actually works. I flipped it over and that gave me the 90 that I needed. Again, make sure that the A is facing towards the top of the ball. If you inadvertently didn't do that, just do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and pop this on now. Pop that on. Servo's centered at 1520. And I'll get another machine screw. I'm going to get some thread lock on here. We'll insert that. Okay, put that on. Okay. Alright. I'm installing the throttle servo now. I'm going to be using the 615. Go ahead and put the carbon plate on there. The spline of the servo is facing the rear of the helicopter. I'll show you right now. I'll turn it towards you so you can see that much better. Pull that out of the way. But it's facing the back end of the helicopter here, just so you can see that. Okay. Alright, we got that squared away. Let's center up the servo. I'll point that towards you so you can see the tail end there. And for our throttle servo here, again that's at Alright, we're putting it back at 1520. And we have two links right here actually. And what we're going to do in order to, the setting actually that they give you in the manual here is right about 75 millimeters. What you can do to check to your given engine is go from the center point of the carburetor itself where it rotates, that center screw, to the center point of your servo here, and that'll get you the length that you need for your particular engine. So we'll go ahead and do that. Make sure we're on that center point there, that center point, and that'll give us a good linear throttle position. And those 2 points are right on, right there. And that's gonna make it a lot easier to set up and tune your engine when you start running your setup out at the field. Let me go ahead and put the servo horn on here. Let's see, move these out of the way. Alright, let's get the ball and nut, and we'll apply that to the actual carburetor arm. So we're going to go ahead and pop on the link to the actual servo, and then we're going to look at the carburetor and look for the best adjustment there, whether it's the inner hole or the outer hole. And right now the outer hole on the carb side looks like our best position. So I'm going to go ahead and install the ball here, and I will get a drop of Loctite on the nut, and we'll put that on the carburetor arm. Tighten that up. Okay. And we'll pop the link on here. Let's see. That's all centered up. Let's go ahead and Loctite the servo horn in position. And the other thing, once you install the rod with the ball links, try and make sure that, again, when you're looking at these 2 points here, that if you were looking at 2 vertical lines, let me see if I can pull this so you can see it better. But these vertical lines here, imagine vertical lines, are as close to parallel as possible. So you want to be parallel, again, to make sure that it's linear. And that's why we measured from this point to this point with the ball link, to ensure that we have a nice linear throttle response. Okay. We'll install the rudder servo. This is the DS655 servo from the line. Go ahead and pop that in. Again, we're utilizing the self-tapping screws. Just get them started, those self-tapping screws, when you're going for the hole. Get them started. Get all 4 of them started, and then tighten them up as needed. But I hope you're excited, because your helicopter is pretty much done as far as assembly wise. Other thing we need to do is work on the tail assembly and mounting our flybarless system, which is relatively simple, the mounting part. And then the other part, which is also simple, is just the setup, setting up the 3GX that's included with your kit. So again, if you have any questions about the assembly process, feel free to email me. That's jeff@alignrcusa.com. Be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Let's go ahead and get this servo sock down, and that'll be the last servo that we need for the frame assembly. Okay. Alright, put that down. Just gonna check out how the regulator looks here. Checking it out on this side, seeing if it's some good real estate or not. Let's see. Pop that in there. Nice. Okay. And let's see. Mount you. Switch there. Use some of these little items that were included with our kit here. Our blade holder. And this is in 700N Z1. I'm just going to go ahead and secure the battery here just real quick. Just put that on there. Get that out of the way. And I want to see about tightening up this wire real quick here. Okay, it's nice. I'm just checking the wires, but I think you can see just from right now, the wires are going all up front there. Pull one of these off. And what I'll do is I will pull these wires through. So, just put a piece of Velcro just to pull them together for the time being. And then we'll run them up to our 3GX. Okay, there's our wiring right there. Goes right up front. It's to our battery and our battery location there. All we need to do is put that rudder servo in place here. We'll do that right now. Put the horn on here. And I'll also go ahead and put a piece of Velcro on the regulator to hold its position. So let me go ahead and do that. Helps if you have nails sometimes. Huh. Alright. I'm going to have to utilize something a little sharp. Alright, there we go. Alright, I'm going to put this on the regulator. Piece of Velcro there. Hook and loop, and then we're going to do the same on the frame. Alright, well, it has a nice clean appearance. Put a little piece on the switch for the glow. Small piece on here. Okay, so that's Velcroed to the tray there, and then also I'll utilize the Velcro for the battery. Go ahead and stick that on. Alright, now we have Velcro here. Hold this in position, a lot easier. Plus the Velcro strap. And there you have it. Alright, that's all mounted up. Now we're going to go ahead and center the servo on the throttle side. Let's go ahead and take care of that. And, excuse me, that would be rudder. Let's check this. Again, we want to be at 1520 when you're using the multi-align multi-function tester. Again, the servo is horizontal, so I'm going to go for 90. I'm using the bottom end of the ball itself there. So it's on the outmost point of the servo horn. And then I'm going to put the machine screw into the servo. It is metal gear train on all the servos provided. Alright. There it is. Alright, we have all our electronics as far as servos are concerned. We have a regulator installed. We have the glow, if you want, glow driver from our 2-in-1. I'm going to go ahead and install this to the engine here. We're going to go ahead and see if I can place this here. Let's see what we have. Taking a bolt off the back plate of the engine itself. Go ahead and slip that. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and utilize the fuel tubing as provided. And go ahead and hook it up to my engine here. Okay. And then we have the fuel filter. Let's see how we're going to run this. Alright, so I got it coming off the pump straight into the carb, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut in the filter. Filter is facing towards the carburetor. And let's get my fuel cut off here. And then we'll put that there, there. Edit, edit. Alright, we're just finishing up the frame assembly here. We've got all our servos installed. We have our engine installed. All our linkages are mounted as per the instructions. And we've also mounted and secured our battery location, our regulator, as well as the switch down here in front of the frame. We got our landing gear mounted up. All we need to do as far as electronics wise is plug in our 3GX. So our 3GX will mount right up here. And what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and get the servo tape. Mount this on here. Lift this. And what I'm going to do with the 3GX is I'm going to have the G, it actually looks like a little silhouette of a helicopter, facing forward to get the optimal performance from the 3GX. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not pushing down just yet. I want to make sure that I'm centered up. And looks really good. And I'm gonna press that down. And that is mounted. What needs to happen from here is I need to plug in my wiring and so forth, but we can do that when we're ready with the radio. All we need to do now at this point is to complete the tail section, and we've completely assembled our Trex 700N DFC. I hope you watching, you find this beneficial and helpful to you. If there's any questions, don't hesitate to email. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. We're going to go ahead, before I stop this segment of the frame build. I'm going to go ahead and install the high performance muffler from Align. I go ahead and put this on. Pull this out here. So you can see this. Put that away. And let's pull the muffler out here. Alright, first order of business, let's Loctite this. I'm going to use green on the nipple. I'm going to put it on the location there. Pretty liberal amount there. Screw that in. And go ahead and just use a plier. Again, real easy. Don't overdo it as far as the tightness. Just snug it up. That's good. Don't over torque it. Alright. If you want to make sure that that's done, you can use a wrench, or you can simply just get a piece of fuel tubing real quick and blow in there. Go to make sure that that thing, or that Loctite or anaerobic, doesn't clog the hole there for your air. All right, so let's take a look here. So our lock washers in place on the bolts as provided. And let's see. Got our metal gasket there. Let's go ahead and install the exhaust Rudder here. Okay. Have a zip tie. Again, if you are, or if you have purchased the Trex 700N DFC, this is a required part that you need to buy in addition to your kit, as well as the additional servo that I use for the throttle. So just to note, you will need to acquire this separately from your kit. Alright, that's pretty nice. It's a nice looking pipe there. We're going to go ahead and mount this up. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws through on the engine. And get this closer to me here. Alright, there we go. And let's get the gasket here. Go ahead and do that. We're driving our bolts all the way through here, tightening them up. And what you want to do after you run your engine the first few times is to check that. Maybe after the first flight, once it gets hot and your engine's up to operating temperature, once you get all tuned in and everything, take your wrench with you or have it close by, because most likely once you get the temp, things will loosen up a little bit, and then you'll tighten it down just a little bit more, and then you'll be good to go. But it's always good to keep an eye on that. We'll go ahead and hook up the vent. I'm going to use my hemostat here. Pop that on. Okay. and release. Alright, so we got that done. And there's one part left. This is for our boom supports. This piece here. I'll save that for when we're putting the boom in. Alright, as far as these additional screws, I will be putting these aside. These are for the servos, and these are extras provided with the kit. I'm going to go ahead and put these aside. These are self-tapping, and some of them are the machine threaded screws, so I'll be using those, and that's what we're using. Alright, so that's the frame assembly. All we need to do now is do the tail components, and we have pretty much a ready to fly Trex 700N DFC. I hope you enjoyed watching this. It's been my pleasure to present it to you. Again, any questions about the assembly of the helicopter or general setup, don't hesitate to email me. My name's Jeff, and you can email me at jeff@alignrcusa.com. Or if you have any questions, you can consult our website at www.align.com.tw. Thanks for watching, and look for my next segment, the tail construction for the Trex 700N. Thanks for watching.